Hello, welcome back. I'm John,
And I'm Sierra.
and this is
And they were readers.
on vacation. So as you can tell, we are not in our normal studio.
Nope, not at all.
Hopefully there's not too much ambient noise, but listen.
There is a siren going on in the
There's a
background.
siren. Yeah, there's like a road over there, like way over there. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we're on vacation and we've been doing some reading. We'll fill you in later. That's not
Yeah.
what this video is about. This video is about the New York Times just released the 100 best books of the 21st century, which is kind of wild.
It's a bold statement,
Yeah.
but honestly fair because they asked 500 authors, editors, and influencers.
Yeah,
to-
503.
I did not know the exact number. Thank you. Wow, that ambulance is coming closer and closer.
We'll give it a second. Godspeed.
I hope everyone's okay.
Yeah,
We've never filmed outside before.
never.
Don't know how this is gonna go.
Yep.
It's kind of hot. I'm already sweating.
She's sweating. I'm doing like okay. actually.
Yeah, so we're in Bermuda, which is
Yeah.
where my family's from.
Yeah.
So, getting to spend some time with family and relax and read and work. I'm actually working, so
Yeah,
There's
she's
that
doing
too.
a lot of work. I'm not working.
yeah, very nice.
Okay.
So, this video might be a little late. It's a week after the list dropped. You probably have watched a ton of videos on this already, but we're gonna give you our books that we've read from this list, our thoughts on this list. We started reading again for fun about 2 to 3 years ago,
Yep.
so we have very minimal information on most of these authors.
Absolutely.
We will not be the experts you're going to for this information.
Never.
But we will be reading along with you.
Amen.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll put like the little screenshot right over there of the list that we're going through. We're gonna use the Instagram list because it breaks it down in groups of 10. So let me just use a little screenshot right there. Bam. Okay. So at number 100, barely skirting in, we have The Tree of Smoke by Dennis Johnson.
Skirting in on the top 100 books of the 21st century, though.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I wasn't talking to anyone. I was watching a YouTube video. Wow, the parasocial relationship really came through on that one.
That is crazy.
And Dennis Johnson was an author that person really wanted to watch or like look at.
Yeah, look
but
into.
I've never heard of this person.
Neither have I.
That'll be true of actually most of these authors, probably because we are not
Yeah.
the experts.
No. And we're not going to go through them one by one. I was just
Yeah.
doing it. It's notable because it's number 100.
Yeah.
From the 90 to 100, the one book that I recognize is On Beauty
By Zadie
Smith. And we have both read Swing Time by Zadie Smith. There's a few Zadie Smith books on this list. None of them are Springtime. Not to say that Springtime is a bad book. I didn't love it.
I really enjoyed it. I thought that the pacing was not for me, but I really enjoyed the perspective that it gave on diaspora and what it means to be a black woman in the UK and all of that.
True.
I thought was actually really well done. So I really enjoyed the book, but it wouldn't be something that I'm quick to recommend. It's something that I would recommend for someone who enjoys a slower read and enjoys taking time with books and taking time with perspective.
Yeah.
That it's perfect for that.
There you go. Station 11 is one that I really want to read now. It's like kind of post-apocalyptic, and it's about a troupe of actors like doing Shakespearean plays as like a devastating flu runs rampant throughout the world.
Which you love.
Yeah.
You love not the flu part, but
No,
the Shakespeare
the
actor
Shakespeare
part.
aspect, yeah.
Okay, so Alex Smith has been on my radar for a really long time. That comes
Okay.
in at 99.
Yep.
Bel Canto is a book that's been on my radar for probably 5 years before I started even reading.
Anne Patchett wrote Tom Lake.
Yes, so I didn't realize that Bel Canto was Anne Patchett, and it's the covers that really get me. The cover of Tom Lake doesn't make me think that I would like it. Wow. Okay, Jesmyn Ward is now on my list based upon this list. So I've now added Jesmyn Ward to my TBR. Okay, yeah. And then Emily St. John Mandel, I read her book that was released 2 years ago or a year ago. The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. Beautiful
There you
cover,
go.
why I picked it up. I thought that it was decent. It wouldn't be something that I'm quick to recommend yet again. But I thought that the way that Emily St. John Mandel went through time and kind of went back and forth between periods and brought you into those worlds was brilliant.
Next, what do we got on here? Oh, we have Detransition Baby.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
which I've definitely
It's on my list.
TBR. It's been on my TBR for a long time.
Oh, Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor
Okay.
is translated.
Yeah.
It was recommended by Jack Edwards. If you know, you know. I mean, I
course.
feel like if you're on BookTube, not
No.
know.
Yeah.
But it's okay if you don't. So Jack Edwards recommended that like author a long time ago, and they were my TBR. I just haven't gone back to that writing, and so now
That's
that I
fair.
know it's on this list, I'm interested in
Yeah.
reading more. Though this list is not like the end all be all.
Of course. Yeah.
From what I've heard, it's not the perfect list because of who they gathered information from, but I think they also did a
Sure.
pretty good job of like trying to include multiple voices. So
Yeah. They did their
we'll
best.
see. Well, it's one list.
Yeah. It is a list.
Yeah.
We're just reacting to this list. We're not saying this list is the best 100 books of the 21st century
Yeah.
forever.
But will it influence my buying habits just a little bit?
Absolutely it will.
Yep.
And then there's a book on Frederick Douglass, which, fun fact, in middle school when we were like, what, 8th grade? Sixth grade? We have a wax museum, like a live wax museum. And
Like think Madame Tussauds,
yeah,
but it's us
but it's
as
us, as children
being the characters.
yes, being the historical figures, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was Frederick Douglass.
Oh.
Yeah, and I gave a whole speech, and
Yeah.
it was great. I won best speech.
Oh.
Yeah.
I won best costume.
Yep.
And our other best friend won
Won
best
overall,
everything.
yeah. He was Dr. Seuss.
And he nailed it.
He did nail it.
The last thing I want to say about this is that George Saunders is on here. I know nothing about this author, but they're on here 3 times, so evidently they're important.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I'll do more research later, but we wanted to just like hop on and talk about our thoughts real quick.
Yeah.
The second
Interesting.
Elena Ferrante is on here.
Where?
Right here at number 80. This is the second
yes,
time
you're right, yeah.
Ferrante showed up. We'll talk about that when we get to later.
Yeah. An American Marriage I've definitely heard of, and I think it's on my TBR for sure.
And I own it.
Oh.
Yeah, haven't read it yet.
No, yeah.
I
That's
bought
probably,
it
that's
at
probably why I heard it.
there's a used bookstore here
Yeah.
that I bought. They sell books for $1.
$1.
Paperbacks for $1.
Paperbacks for $1, hardcovers for $2. It's crazy.
So I bought it last year and haven't gotten to it yet.
And then Tomorrow's on here, which I'm really happy about.
Oh, that's fair.
I really think that book deserves to be on here.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
It was amazing.
It took me a while to get through the first third, but it
That's
was
fair.
brilliant.
Yeah. Video games, friendship. That's all I have to say about that book.
Yep. Next.
Olive
Oh.
Kitteridge is a cool title. Makes me want to read it.
Oh, I was
Oh.
watching a video about this, and they said that it's a good book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, the new Jim Crow.
I'm happy that it's in the top like 70.
Yeah. It is a very good nonfiction on kind of like the incarceration system and how that disproportionately affects Black and brown people in America, and goes into the history of that, where that came from, how like a lot of statistics and a lot of research. It's very research based, so you can see in the footnotes and maybe in the back of the book too, all of the research that went into producing these findings. But the new Jim Crow is great.
Yeah, we talk about it, I think, a little bit more in our Black History Month video.
Absolutely.
If you want to
Go check that one out.
Oh, The Friend by Sigrid Nunez.
Oh.
Yeah, that's on my list now because I read the Marmoset of
Oh,
Bloomsbury
yes, you did.
by Sigrid Nunez.
Yes.
And I only picked it up because I liked the cover. It looked cute. I
Yeah.
wanted a cute book. I liked the writing. And I almost picked up The Vulnerables, but it was too expensive, to be quite honest. At
That's
the
fair.
time, it was like
That
$30
happens, yeah.
versus the other one.
We make good financial decisions
But
sometimes.
in our comments section recently, someone said that they loved The Friend and didn't like The Vulnerables. So I feel
Interesting.
like The Friend should be on here, and I will be reading it.
There you go. Also on here, Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I loved that book.
I've not read it yet.
It's like a modern take on David Copperfield. Blah, blah, blah. I've talked about it a lot. Not blah, blah, blah. It deserves all the praise it
It
has.
does all the blahs.
All the blahs. I love that book. It has a great cover. I rushed through it, even though it's a thick book. So
Yeah, you read it. You read it last summer.
I did read it last
Yeah,
summer.
while
Oh
we were
yeah, I
here.
read it here.
Yeah, you bought it here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, full circle moment. The Great Believers has been on my list for a long time. I don't really know what it's about. I just remember I liked the cover. And I remember hearing good things about it when it was new. Moving on.
Ooh, number 60, Heavy by Casey Lehman.
Yeah.
So I was in a essay reading kick for a while, like from Black authors. So I read Roxane Gay's Bad Feminist.
Yes.
And Tressie McMillan Cottom's book, which I've talked about a lot.
Yep, thick.
And I read Heavy by Casey Lehman. I don't remember if I finished it, but I remember really enjoying the writing style and the way it talked about things. I think I was kind of similar to you, where I'd read a lot of nonfiction about pain of Black and brown people in America, and I was like, I think I need a break.
Yeah.
And that book came at that time, but highly recommend if you're looking at a series of essays from a Black man in America. It's beautifully written.
Nice. Anything else?
Wow, we're probably skipping such
so
good
many.
books, but
Yeah.
we might do just another video on this way down the road once we read some
Yeah.
books. We'll see.
Yeah, we might circle back. Maybe this is a part one. I've heard of Middlesex for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, is that
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I think I've heard of Middlesex as a classics.
Oh,
No, that's
maybe.
Middlemarch. She's dumb.
Okay.
And then George Saunders is on there again.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 times. That's number 2.
Yep.
Write it down. Okay. Oh.
Trust
Okay.
is number 50.
We're hitting the top 50. Okay.
Been on my list for so long. Y'all, you should see our setup. Hey, that's you. There's a chicken soup next to you, a water bottle, a paper, what's it called? A t-shirt, trying to keep you cool. All right? Stay
feel
cool
so
out there, stay
exposed.
hydrated.
It feels so exposing. Okay.
Okay.
So top 50. Here we are. We have Trust by Hernan Diaz, which have you read a Hernan Diaz?
No,
Okay,
but
okay.
I want to.
Yes. Trust has been popping off. I've seen it everywhere lately.
And I was going to read it a year ago,
Oh, what
but got
happened?
the big book fear.
Oh, yeah, the Big Book Fear. But then you did read another one that's here called
The Vegetarian!
well, I was going to say The
Oh.
Goldfinch, which is
Number 49
counteracting your Big Book Fear.
Yeah, but number 49 is
The Vegetarian
The
by-
Vegetarian.
yeah.
And I think I'm really proud that it made it on this list for being as out there as it is.
Yeah.
It is literature, and I
It's
think that's really
phenomenal.
cool that something so abstract in a way has made it onto this list. I don't know enough about literature to really speak to the nature of how intricate it is, but it seems that other people who are well versed in this has put respect on its name, and so should I.
There you go. A Toni Morrison, A Mercy, which I haven't heard of that one, honestly.
Huh?
A Mercy by Toni Morrison.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's not in the list of like the bluest eye, the Sula. It has that cover that's
Jazz.
cursive and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
color.
Yeah. The Argonauts I've definitely heard of. Oh, do you want to speak on The Goldfinch?
You've
'Cause
heard me talk about the Goldfinch,
She
but
struggled
it's
with that
so
book
big.
off and on for how long?
8 months? Yeah, I think it took me 8 months to read it. It was so
It's thick.
pretty. The writing was. It was a little too slow for Sierra.
That's fair.
I tend to need that, like, based upon my work and how much time I've spent reading, like I don't have time to just really sit as much as I want to. But I think if I did, it would be a great read. And Kate Jemison is on here.
Yes,
that makes
the
sense.
5th season is the first in a series.
Did you buy that the other day?
No.
Oh.
But I have had it on my TBR for a long time because I saw someone I follow on Book Talk mentioned it and said it's one of their favorite books of this year so far.
Was it at the used bookstore? I
don't-
feel like it was.
Maybe.
I think it's awesome that Small Things Like These
I was
made
going
it.
to say the same thing. I
Prefer Foster.
which
Yeah.
I guess is an unpopular opinion.
I didn't know
I've
that.
realized as of late.
Maybe because it's so much like Anne of Green Gables, and it
Maybe,
feels like
and
a
I've never
ripoff.
read Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables. I've never read it, so maybe it's similar. But I preferred Foster. But not to say I didn't love Small Things Like These. Small Things Like These is being adapted into a film starring Cillian Murphy, so
Oh yeah,
I will
that's
be
true.
watching that.
We all will. Well,
Yes.
maybe not
Well,
you, but we will.
Yes. Okay.
40.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Oh, A Visit from the Goon Squad. I almost picked that up in.
That has a different meaning these days.
Okay, yeah. So I almost picked it up at the bookstore, but not the used bookstore, the new bookstore.
Which on this
And that
island
book was like $21.
is so expensive.
So I was like, yeah, I'll pass.
Oh. Go ahead.
Between the World and Me?
Oh no.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
You skipped The Years by Annie Ernaux.
Okay.
I've read Annie Ernaux's nonfiction like musings on daily life in a country that I can't remember. It was like Paris or
Paris is not a country.
Amsterdam. So it was either
Neither of those are
It was like
countries.
it was in France or
Or the Netherlands.
the Netherlands or Belgium. I can't remember.
Okay.
But
Europe.
it was what was it called? What book did I read? I bought it.
I can't help you.
Okay, I read an Annie Ernaux, and it was mostly because everyone talked about it, and it was the edition where it's like that white cover with the blue writing. It's like the Fitzcarraldo edition.
I have to go find it now. Oh,
You own a Fitzcarraldo.
yes. You
Yeah.
bought its exteriors.
Yes, thank you. Good job, good job.
Hee.
And I enjoyed that one, but it was a little bit. I enjoyed that one. So I want to read The Years because everyone says that Annie Ernaux should be read.
There you go. Between the World and Me, right?
Oh, I
is-
just finished
she just
that
finished it.
yesterday.
I'm actively listening to it. I listened to it this morning when I was
I
making
saw
breakfast.
you. You looked so serious
It
as you're
was
eating your breakfast.
So good.
And I was like, only that serious face could. I knew you were listening to it.
He just like, it's like not poetry, but it is so almost lyrical the way he writes, and it hits every line. You're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, and it talks about like the Black experience in America. And wow, it's just, yeah. I'm only 25% of the
Right.
way through, and I'm already shook. White Teeth is the second Zadie Smith to appear here. Another one that I want to read.
Yep.
And I'll
Sadie
get to
Smith's
it.
an author that I don't love any of her books. Like, none of them are 5-star for me, but I keep coming back to her prose. Like, I just keep coming back to her. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
Um,
Okay, Americana.
yes.
We've read, that was one of the first books we read on our
Yep,
journey.
On our journey, yep.
A little pacing issue for
Yep,
Sierra,
yep.
but pretty good.
Yeah.
Atonement by Ian
Ian
McEwan.
McEwan.
You'll see in the next video that I got an Ian McEwan book from the used bookstore.
Yep.
The
Oh,
Overstory by Richard Powers. That's also been on my list for about a year. So yeah, we have a lot to catch
there's a
up
lot
on.
on our list, okay?
Okay, we like to read.
Evicted. So if you've been here for a while, you know I read Poverty by America, also by Matthew Desmond. Evicted is one of his other nonfiction books, and apparently it's better. So
Yeah,
at least as this list has to say.
Everyone
It's okay.
recommended Evicted to me, not
Poverty by
Yeah.
America. Yeah. So I think I'll give him another shot. I'll probably listen to it because it's if it's a nonfiction, which I think it is, I prefer listening to nonfictions, especially like this. So I'll probably give it a listen and then buy it because I have unhinged behavior.
I'm pretty sure it's a nonfiction about the housing crisis.
That's what it seems like. We have made it to the top 20. Okay.
Erasure by Percival Everett. Is James Percival Everett? Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, so Percival Everett came out with a book called James that
Yes.
people are loving.
yes.
It has 4.6 out of 5 on Amazon UK. 4.6 out of 5 for Goodreads as
Goodreads.
well.
Yeah.
So obviously people are loving it. They're reading it, whatever. Great.
Yeah.
I am excited to try it, I think. Who else do I know on here?
Oh, we both added The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay
Oh, we did.
by Michael Chabon. Yeah, because we looked into it and we're like, that seems interesting.
It seems us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read a third of Pachinko, which is number
Yes.
15 on here. The
Yeah.
only reason I didn't continue was because I was listening to it on audiobook. And it was a
Mm.
book that I really wanted to read physically at that point. I
Oh,
was
okay.
like,
That's-
I can't
that's a
keep
good
up
note.
with everything and everyone
That's
when
fair.
I'm driving. I'd
Yeah.
rather just sit down and read it. But it's
Nice.
now been 2 years.
I'll buy it and I'll read it and then I'll force you to read it because it's probably gonna be really good.
That's fair.
Cool. I almost read it for AAPI month in May, but it was so big. I was
It would've
afraid
taken the whole month.
It would have taken the whole month.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Road.
Oh, you skipped Outline by Rachel Cusk.
Of course I did. My
Number
bad.
14,
Yeah.
The Outline by Rachel Cusk, has
Yep.
also been on my list for 2 years. Do we
If
see a
you-
pattern?
I was gonna say,
Do
if
we
you don't see a trend.
She knows the right books to read. She
Yes.
just hasn't read them yet.
Yes, yeah, but she'll get there.
She'll get there.
Eventually.
She has her whole life.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's been on my list for a really long time. I
Okay.
think it's going to be a good read.
Nice. Yeah. The Road by Cormac McCarthy. In our video where we talked about the books we wanted to read for the summer, that is one of them that I mentioned because I had just purchased it and I've heard so many good things about it. I actually have it here with me on this trip. Will I get to it? Maybe,
Are
maybe
you
not.
going to read it fully through, or is it a slow read, like where you read a little at a time?
I'm going to read it fully through.
Okay.
Yeah. The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion. I want to be a Joan Didion girly so bad.
So bad. Every
But-
cool girly is a Joan Didion girly.
Every cool girl is a Joan Didion girly. But all of her books are like average ratings.
It's like a 3.5.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that happens.
So I need to like get into it to form my own opinion. I don't know if I want this one to be my first, but it's number 12 on this list, so maybe it should be my first.
Maybe I just won't become a Joan Didion girly and just read one.
Maybe.
Maybe that's just my path, my
Yeah.
lot in life.
Pause for plane.
Are the wheels out yet? Yep, there they are.
That one was a private jet.
Oh,
Yeah.
bougie.
Bougie. Anyway.
Okay, next, top
10.
10.
Okay. Wow, I'm always shook. Do you know the number 10?
No.
Okay, so I'm always shook that Kazuo Shigeru made it in the top 10.
Oh!
Never Let Me Go is number 9. That is the first book I ever read by Kazuo Shigeru.
My hot
and
take is it's good, but I don't know if it should be in the top 10.
That's crazy.
I thought it was really good. I just thought it was so... I knew what was going to happen within the first third.
Yeah,
I'm a big guesser, though.
big guesser.
And then I don't know the 8,
don't know
7,
8.
6,
Yeah.
5. So we
Listen.
got a lot of reading and work to do.
We're educating ourselves.
Get educated. Yes. Okay, and I read Cast by Isabel Wilkerson.
Oh, did I? No,
No.
you told me to though.
I did, but it was also after you'd read a lot of nonfiction
Yes,
books
and
about
I
the
was
Black
like,
experience.
I need a break.
And it's totally fair.
Yeah.
Respect. But yeah, so that's why that name sounded so familiar, because I was
Okay.
like, I've read this book, but then I was like, I haven't.
Yeah.
Cast is really well done. Honestly, if The New Jim Crow is on this list, I think that that book deserves to be in the top 100.
Yeah.
Because it describes the way that racism is essentially a caste system for the United States, and the way that it works systemically. And it was one of the first books that articulated systemic racism almost flawlessly. I wouldn't say flawlessly, but almost flawlessly.
Okay, fair.
But number 2 is The Warmth of the Other
Yeah.
Suns. Have not read it.
Yeah. And then the very last book, number 1, another Elena Ferrante book, My Brilliant Friend, which you...
Okay, so the Ruse Project, or Reagan, which she's really popular on this platform,
There you go.
recommended My Brilliant Friend a few months back.
Okay.
And everyone was talking about it at some point. I don't remember why. And so I was like, okay, I'll put it on my radar, but like the cover's not for me, so I'm never gonna buy it. Like, I'll just have to wait till like the library version to see if I like it.
Yeah.
But we were at the used bookstore the other day,
We were
and I was
indeed.
like, it's $1.
It's $1.
Might as well buy
Gotta
it.
buy it.
Didn't know it was gonna be number 1 on this list. And that's the list.
That's the list. So it's a different day.
Oh yeah, we don't have to do our intro.
No, yeah. It's like a whole different week, actually, I think. So what you just saw was us reviewing the New York Times top 100 books of the 21st century as recommended by book editors, writers, and like book influencers. And then like a few days later, I woke up and the first thing on my Instagram was the New York Times top 100 list as recommended by readers, like the reader's choice.
Which I don't even. Did you vote? Who voted?
Who voted? Not I.
Not I. But I woke up and the first thing that John said was, "Hey," and he pointed to his phone, and then I looked at it, and we went through all of the books just with noises. I wish we had recorded it because we did all of our first reactions just as noises.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to go through it for you now.
Yeah. So, at 100, A Man Called Ova, and this is by Frederick Backman, I think this book is aight.
Yeah, you told me not to buy it the other day at the dollar store.
Yeah.
Or at the used bookstore.
At the dollar store.
That's basically what it is.
That's fair.
They had clothes for $2.
Yeah, they did. I bought some.
Yeah, I did too.
Shuggy Bane, I read, by Douglas Stewart.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I read
and
it,
Douglas Stewart wrote another one, right?
Yes, Young Mungo.
Oh, yeah.
Which I do want to read, but they are big books. So I gotta space them out.
Yeah.
My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh, I brought with me on this trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I bought it at our local bookstore.
Yeah, you did.
Back home, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
It's one that I was talking to my barista about, and she said that I shouldn't read it. She's an English major.
Okay.
She just graduated like a semester ago. And she was saying that's a good read, but like if you've ever dealt with depression, maybe not.
Yeah.
And so she's like, honestly, I don't recommend it to people.
That's the vibe I got from the back.
I'm so happy to see The Vanishing Half here by Britt Bennett. By Britt Bennett.
Yeah, okay.
I really loved that book. It was earlier on in my reading journey. I got it from the library. This is when I discovered that our library ships books to our house.
Yes, they do.
And so I got it from the library, read it, and I remember sitting on my couch just like eating it up, like ignoring my schoolwork and just reading it.
No responsibilities.
So I think it's like a good reader's choice book. I
I
agree that it's not on the editor's choice. Like I think writing wise, it's a really good story. And it was so much fun to read, but it probably wasn't like the best top 100 books of the 21st century. So I get it.
Nice. Next is, I know, A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I read this book either like end of last year. No, it's definitely not this year. End of last year I read it. And it's a heavy hitter. And then Project Hail Mary.
Whoa!
Which we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. Okay. Oh, and The Dream House.
I've been meaning to read this,
yeah.
but it's nonfiction.
Oh.
So it's a memoir.
Oh.
And that's why I haven't read it yet, was because I'm not into memoirs right now.
That's
so
fair.
I was like, when I get into my memoir phase,
Yeah,
I'll
of
get
course.
this book.
Life of Pi. I've seen the movie.
Okay, here's my thoughts on this book.
Oh. Did you read it?
I've never read it all the way through.
Oh.
So my ninth graders that I have to read this book, and I've enjoyed the passages that I've read. They're beautifully written.
Okay.
It is so slow. Like, these poor ninth graders are reading the slowest book I've ever read. And I was like, they are growing, they're thinking, they're innovating, and they have to sit in this book for so long. So I don't know how I made it to this list from that perspective, but I think if an adult were reading it and was prepared for that, I think it's a good book.
When Breath Becomes Air.
That's been on my list for so
Yeah,
long.
I've heard of it. Haven't gotten to it.
One of my best friends said it's one of the best books she's ever read.
Wow.
But again, it's a nonfiction book, and I wasn't prepared to cry. So she said that she would be driving home weeping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. 10th of December, George Saunders.
Another Saunders.
Another
We
Saunders.
don't know who this is.
No.
And we probably should
Apparently
at
we
this point.
should, because George Saunders had, 3 books on the other one?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. Heard so much about this book. I think I would like it. I know it's literary and like either slow or medium paced, which is on paper the books that I read.
Yeah,
But-
it's just you really got to get us with the cover too. I think is really what it is.
Yeah.
And this book looks like it's a romance.
It does.
Okay.
The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks.
I've also been meaning to read this book.
Yeah, I had to read a portion of this book in college.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't do anything medical?
Nope.
Then why'd you read this book?
It was something about like identity.
Oh.
Deacon King Kong, I just bought for
Mhm.
$1. It's by James McBride, and I will get to it at some point.
You read Kafka on the Shore.
I did read Kafka on the Shore. 1Q84 is huge. That's why I was like, oh, I'm so happy that you like that. That book is terrifyingly large.
Yeah, I will probably never read it.
Oh.
So sorry.
Sapiens has been on my list for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I was in Spain, it was everywhere. It was like all the Spanish were reading. And I was like, dang, okay, I guess I'm behind.
Just Mercy's on here.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was my answer to what changed my life, I think.
Yeah.
In our, what do we call it? Like our Q&A video that we battled each other.
Sure, yeah.
I love this book. It did change my life, and I highly recommend it to people who want to learn more about the injustice of our prison system in the United States.
Claire on the Sun, I just finished.
I read it like a year ago.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
Which makes sense that Harry Potter made it onto this
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Crying in H Mart, another memoir that I listened to maybe a year or two ago at this point. It's good. I left the book feeling sad and hungry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're almost out of kimchi. I gotta go to the store.
Yeah, we do. Sing the Buried Sing is also on the other list, so it makes dual appearances.
Which I never heard of Jasmine Ward, so this is fun. I'm excited to get to read her.
Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran.
That's the movie, right?
Yeah, it just got turned into a movie, and then I just got The Wager, also by David Gran.
That's the same author?
Yeah. Piranesi.
I'm so excited it's on this list.
It should be on both lists, honestly. That's a flop. Just
Calling out
Kids
the
by
editors.
Patti Smith.
Oh, Patti Smith. I'm glad that she's on this list. I think Patti Smith made a mark on literature in some ways, and so it's cool to see her here.
Nice. Evicted by Matthew Desmond is also on the list recommended by writers and editors. The 5th season is
It's
also on the
also-
other
yep.
list, and I've heard great things. I need to get to it. That's all I know about it.
Right.
Another Ann Patchett.
Cool.
Yeah, rated higher.
Where the Crawdads Sing. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I might get flamed for this one, but listen, I think this book is so overrated. I read it near the beginning of my reading journey, and that was a very vulnerable time for my reading life. Very predictable. It was boring. I didn't like it. They made it into a movie. Good for them, I guess. I'm not gonna watch the movie because I read the book and so if you like it, that's fine. We don't always have to like the same books. I'm just saying, for me, I thought it was very par. White Teeth by Zadie Smith, which is also on the other list. And
Small
same
things
with Small Things Like,
like
These.
these.
Yes. The Hunger Games, which I don't think was on the other list.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's not known for its literary prowess, but
That's
it
fair,
is
yeah.
a great story, and it definitely did change my life probably. Like as a 7th grader, understanding that Panem was the United States and the injustice in the systems that existed, I was like, justice.
Just as.
Justice.
Braiding Sweetgrass.
Oh, I still have to read
Yeah,
that.
we'll
I know,
always
I
sing that book's
know.
praises. 11/22/63 is the Stephen King book that I want to read the most. Like hearing reviews about it, it seems like the one that's most up my alley. So
Yeah, I agree.
I want to get to that, but it's also large. Trust by Hernan Diaz, we both just bought, and is on the other list, so
Yep.
it makes a dual appearance. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, I read. Great historical fiction book about World War II. Cast.
Cast by Isabel Wilkerson.
Yes.
I'm really happy to see it on this list. I understand why it's not on the editor's list, but I think it's a really good read for anyone who's trying to understand the systemic racism in the United States. It unpacks it really well, so I'm really happy to see it here. And Isabel Wilkerson, her other book shows up here too, and it's higher on the list again, so I feel like I have to read it now.
Gone Girl.
We talked about it at the bookstore the other day.
Yes.
We both haven't read it.
We haven't read it, but I've seen the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like multiple times.
Oh.
It's a great movie.
I've never seen the movie.
That makes sense.
Is Neil Patrick Harris in it?
Yeah.
Oh, then I know what it is.
Okay.
I've not seen it.
Unearthly Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I read this a while back.
Yeah.
I thought it was decent.
Right. You're the one who's deterred me from like trying to read this book.
Oh, well.
But I own it. One of my
You
best
should
friends
read it.
read it and loved
People
it.
love it. Like, the community loves it as a whole.
Yeah, and she gifted it to me, so I feel like I have to read it.
Yeah, I would say read it, for
Okay.
sure. Same to you. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. We definitely enjoyed this book.
I'm so happy that this book is on the list.
Mm.
I think it was a delightful read.
It was indeed.
Yeah.
The Song of Achilles, not surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Not surprised
I
at
didn't
all.
like it as much as everyone else. I think it's because it was so overhyped.
It was
And
overhyped.
everyone said it was so sad. And then I read it and I was like, oh, it's a normal amount of sad. For like
That's fair.
the book, like literature world. I
Yeah.
read a lot of literary fiction and not fantasy, so I
Yeah.
think like the amount of sad I was expecting was to rip my heart out, and
less
my heart
sad.
was like still in my chest. You know?
Still beating, still perfectly
Yeah,
in
but
its
it was a
place.
really good book.
There, Tommy Orridge. Very happy it's on this list.
Yeah.
Love
you
this book.
Talked about it in our June wrap up?
I did.
Okay.
Highly recommend. Go check it out. The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. I can't escape that book.
Okay, so I saw it on the flight to Bermuda. A man was reading it right there across the aisle.
Okay.
And I was going to talk to him about it because I wanted to know what he thought. I've only seen it on the internet. I've never really heard anyone talk about it. I've never
I
even
guess
like,
it's true.
I don't even know what it's about. I've just seen the cover everywhere.
Yeah. Anytime you walk into a bookstore, it's gonna be like on display somewhere. And it's
Yeah.
been that way for like it feels like a year and a half.
Yeah. I almost bought it the other day.
But it's the same author as Deacon King Kong. So I'll read that one first.
Oh.
James McBride, yeah.
Oh my god. I keep forgetting that. Okay, I'm gonna read this.
Between the World and Me, Sierra just finished, and
Mm-hmm.
I have 20 minutes left in the audiobook.
Yeah.
And it is phenomenal so far, and it also showed up on the other list. So, yeah.
I would highly recommend that
Oh,
one. I think
yeah.
I already said that
Yeah, we
the
probably
other
did.
day
Yeah.
that we filmed.
Yeah, The Kite Runners. This is the second Khaled Hosseini book that shows up, and I read this first. So I read this before A Thousand Splendid Suns.
Mm-hmm.
This one, even more devastating, I might argue. But I think if you read your trigger warnings and you think you can do it, then I say definitely do it.
I'll do it.
Okay. The Year of Magical Thinking.
It's on both
Definitely
for
is
sure.
on both. Joan Didion.
And Joan Didion's been on my list for so long, and I don't
Yeah.
know why I haven't read her yet. But that's what about her?
Yeah, sure. The Covenant of Water, Abraham Verghese. I've heard a lot about it,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure he shows up twice on this list. Cloud Atlas, I've heard of. I haven't read it. The Book Thief, phenomenal. Read
And
it.
I just finished it, so you'll see me read it. Like I'll wrap up in July,
Yeah,
and you'll see it there.
Yeah. Cloud Cuckoo Land. We both put this book back both times we went to the used bookstore. Like, on
We
multiple occasions.
almost bought it twice.
We almost bought it twice. Cersei by Madeline Miller. That's her second one on this list. I would argue is better than The Song of Achilles. I liked The Song of Achilles. Like, I would still put it at like a 4-ish.
Yeah, I'm
This
with you
is
on
like
that.
a 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got Cersei from the library, saw how big it was, and had to return it.
A Visit from the Goon Squad showed up on both lists.
Right.
Cutting for Stone is the second Abraham Verghese that we talked about. The
And my
first one
mom's
being,
reading it right now.
Yeah.
She says it's really good so far.
Yeah. The first one being The Covenant of Water.
Mm-hmm.
Normal People by Sally Rooney. I love.
I think it's a great reader's choice.
I agree.
Was it on the other list?
No.
I don't think so.
I
Yeah,
don't
which makes
remember.
sense. I agree. Like it is for the readers.
Yes. It's for the reader.
Oh, Belcanto is
Belcanto.
way higher on
Oh,
this
that's a
list.
third Ann Patchett. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Anne Patchett's popping off.
Anne, who are you?
Someone we should have known.
Apparently. And then The Warmth of Other Suns is the other Isabel Wilkerson.
Which I will be reading at some point, probably not this year. Like, let me be realistic.
That's fair. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I've read.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah.
I DNF'd it after 5 pages. It just wasn't the vibe in the moment.
I didn't love it as much as it seemed like I was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean don't read it.
Oh, I got Homegoing at a used bookstore or like at the Goodwill in our hometown for $1.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love this author, Ya Gyasi.
Good job.
Okay. But I haven't gotten to this book yet, so
No.
I need to read it. It's
Yeah.
on this list. It's an author I love. I have to.
We both read Transcendent Kingdom by the same author.
As a buddy read last year
Oh, yeah.
or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay was also on the other list.
And it's made its way to my TBR.
Oh, wow. Americana, we have both read. Middlesex was also on the other list. We almost picked it up the other day.
Yeah, but it was...
Large.
And also, it was damaged.
Oh, yeah, that too. Atonement, Ian McEwan, also on the other list. She has Amsterdam. Lincoln...
Which, Amsterdam won an award in 1998. It won the Booker Prize. Found that out recently.
Was it the Booker or the Pulitzer?
Booker.
Okay. Lincoln in the Bardo, George Saunders, was one of the George Saunders that was also on the other list. The Road by Cormac McCarthy is sitting right over there, and I'm going to start reading it, honestly, whenever I get the chance. The Overstory.
Oh, yeah. I just bought that. You'll see that next week.
A Little Life by Hanya Nagihara.
Again, for the readers.
I love that book so much. I honestly want to reread it now. Station 11, both lists. Sierra just bought it. You'll see that next week. Devastating for John. Never Let Me Go.
Made it to the top 10 on both lists.
Yeah, Kazuo Shigeru. My Brilliant Friend, also in the top 10 on both lists.
It's number 1 on the 100, but it's 8 here.
Yep.
Which is interesting, but I kind of love.
Yeah. Tomorrow in the top 10 makes me so incredibly happy.
Also interesting that it beat the number 1 for
the
other list. But it was so much lower on the other list.
Yeah. Yeah. But it did show up. Educated, a book that I've been trying to get Sierra to read for at least 5 years now. Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee also is on the other list, and I now have purchased The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt.
I read that. It took me 8 months. It was really good. Crazy how high it is up on here.
Yeah,
but
number 4.
It's a beautiful piece of writing.
A Gentleman in Moscow. I've heard about so many times, and now I guess I need to add it to the TBR. And
who is it?
Amor Towels or Amor. All the Light We Cannot See.
We also what's on the shelf right next to Cloud
Cuckoo Land. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Anthony. It's nothing personal.
Nothing personal. Your books are just
they're
big.
Large. Yeah. The reason I haven't read this book is because I read The Nightingale, and this book felt like it was getting popular at the same time, and I didn't want to do another large historical fiction.
They got coded in my brain as the same thing.
But they're not. And
number 1.
Yeah.
John has been trying to get me to read this book for a year now.
Yep, because I read it last year here, and I loved it, and she started it and stopped reading it.
I started school.
It's Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I love this book.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta take a thumbnail now. Before I forget. I'm sorry I dropped you.
It's okay. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think about these 2 lists, and if there's one that you prefer over the other.
Ooh, yeah.
And then, we'll catch you in the next one.
See ya. Nope, that's your line. Bye.
See ya.
I don't know what happened.
That's the second time. Every once in a while, you're like, I'm John. I am he.
Sometimes I forget what,